realized I didn't have to work until 65. If you're barely making ends meet right now and you're rolling your eyes every time somebody tells you, just invest more, this video is actually for you because I got a comment last week on TikTok. Someone basically said, hard to spend less than you make when the cost of daily goods is consistently increasing. And honestly, I felt it because I wasn't born into money. I didn't have family helping me financially, literally like almost ever. I was broke as like really broke. I had debt, I made financial mistakes, and if I'm being honest, I was also spending more money on some pretty stupid stuff. So when someone says they feel stuck, I get it. I really do. I honestly feel like if I can get to where I am today, then anyone can. About 10 years ago, I stumbled across a thing called FIRE. It's a whole movement. And before you click away, no, I didn't join a cult, which would be kind of funny. FIRE simply stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And at its core, it's just a bunch of people asking, who decided that we have to work until we're 65? Why is that the default path? Work, pay bills, wait for the weekend, repeat for 40 years? Maybe there's another option. Maybe there's a better option. Maybe you could go hiking on a Tuesday. Maybe you could spend more time with your friends or your loved ones. Maybe you could take 3 months off and go to Portugal. Maybe work becomes something you choose to do instead of something you have to do. And that's the part that completely hooked me. I never even thought that was a possibility. Not retirement. I don't really love that part, but the freedom part. Because honestly, I don't even want to retire. I love working. I love building things, love creating. What I want is to be work optional. Travel for 3 months? Cool. Never could do that before. I have to hustle my 2-week vacation. But maybe come back and I could work. And that's also cool. That could be a fun version of it. That's financial independence. Before I learned about this concept, I was doing what most people did, or at least most people around me. I tried to make money, then I'd spend money, I'd work hard all week, spend even more money on the weekend because work was stressful. I then get paid, I spend the paycheck, repeat, repeat, repeat over and over. And I did think about some type of long-term investments like buying a house someday, but investing, honestly, not really. Most of my planning was about 1 month ahead, if that. I had car payments, credit card balances, and restaurants I was constantly going to, random purchases. I barely remember half the things I was doing. And honestly, almost everyone around me seemed to be doing the exact same thing. When I discovered FIRE and thought, wait, I don't have to live in debt forever, I don't have to work until I'm 65, there's another way to do this, that realization completely changed my life. So at that point, I grabbed my husband and we sat down and created a plan. Our goal was simple: become financially independent by age 50. Now, before you think we've got it all figured out, absolutely not. Some months we absolutely crush it, like we do so well. And then some months, life punches us right in the face. Last month, for example, we had an unexpected $6,000 expense. Did that help our plan? Absolutely not. Did it set us back? Yes. But we refocused and we keep moving forward just like we do every single month. Because financial independence isn't about perfection. It's about direction. And here's what's changed for us. We started asking ourselves a different series of questions. Instead of, can we afford this? Because typically you can make excuses for affording anything. We started asking, is this worth delaying our freedom? I mean, we don't exactly say it in those words because I think if I start speaking that way, my husband would probably leave me. But it's that type of a question. It's a very different question, a different way to look at things because we love being outside. We love hiking. We love traveling. We love adventures. Yet today, we both spend almost all of our time, 60, 50, 70 hours a week, sitting behind a computer inside. That's not living. And when it's a beautiful sunny day outside, it's easier to say no to something like a fancy purse or an expensive gadget or another really expensive dinner with friends when we remember what we're actually buying. We are buying time. We are buying options. We are saving and we're buying our freedom in the future. And that's what FIRE really is. Now, there are a million FIRE terms online, so don't get confused. There's some like lean FIRE, barista FIRE, coast FIRE. Honestly, sometimes it sounds like someone made up retirement terms after drinking too much coffee, which is totally fine with me. But here's the simplest explanation I can give you. The goal is to build enough invested assets that the growth can cover your expenses. That's it. One of the most commonly discussed guidelines is something called the 4% rule. Lots of debates on if that's the correct amount, but let's go with it for this. And the basic idea is that take what you spend in a year, multiply that by 25, and that's roughly your financial independence number. So if you spend $40,000 every single year, you need about $1 million invested. You spend $80,000 a year, that's about $2 million invested. Now, is that perfect math? No. And nobody knows how long they'll live. And markets go up and markets go down, life happens. But that gives you a target to be going after. And most people have never even thought about what their number might be or thought about it in that way. And the other thing that I'd say is that number sounds really big, but it's something to work towards. Now, if you want to learn from people who know way more than me, here are a few resources that completely changed how I'm thinking about money when I learned about FIRE. The first is Mr. Money Mustache. I found a 2012 great calculator from him. He was one of the original voices of the FIRE movement, and his blog just completely challenges the idea that happiness needs to come from spending more, which I love. The second is Set for Life. Scott Trench wrote that book. It's actually one of my old bosses, and I read the book before I even knew him. And what I love about that book, it's a little bit more beginner, where it lays out some practical options for you and some tactical, actual things to do. And if you're really interested in this stuff, like this is the first time you've heard about it, and you kind of want to dive in, there are entire communities dedicated to FIRE, investing in intentional living. Go to Facebook, and even in your city, you might have a meetup near you. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, what does this look like in real life? Like, not just this really big number that we're talking about here. So here's what my husband and I do. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. It does involve spreadsheets, because I love spreadsheets, but there's no weird money hacks or anything. It's just a few things that we do to keep moving forward and toward our financial independence number. First, we track our spending. Not because we're obsessed with budgeting. I mean, I am, he's not. Not because we never spend money. Like, actually, we spend money on things that we love all the time. Like, a lot of money on the things that we love. But we track it because we're trying to figure out how much money we'll need to live someday, and we should probably know what we're spending today. So it seems obvious, but most people just have no idea. You obviously know your rent payment or your mortgage payment or maybe your car payment, but if you ask most people what they spent last year or maybe what they spent last month, I'm going to say they probably couldn't tell you. We track our spending because it gives us an honest picture of our life. Second, we invest and save every month. Before the money disappears into random purchases, which happens, one thing a lot of us don't realize is that if you're pursuing financial independence before traditional retirement age, you can't just put everything into your retirement accounts and call it a day. We were doing that for so long, and that's actually wrong. Most retirement accounts aren't easily accessible until you're around 59 and a half. So we think about building wealth in multiple buckets. We have retirement accounts, of course, for the future, but then we have brokerage accounts, cash savings, real estate, and just different assets that can potentially support us if we do retire earlier than that 59 and a half, which is the traditional retirement age. And then third, every month we're constantly asking ourselves, what is actually worth spending money on? Not because we're cheap, I'm a little frugal, but because we're trying to be intentional. We love travel, we love being outside, we love these experiences. So spending money on those feels aligned with the life. Like that's right. Like that's what we're trying to build towards. But spending money on something we'll barely remember 6 months from now, that gets a lot harder and honestly easier for us to say no to, because every dollar is a trade-off. It is not about deprivation. It's about your priorities. When you start viewing money through that lens, your spending decisions become surprisingly simple. Not easy, I promise. It is not easy, but it is simple. And that's been really the biggest shift for us. We don't focus on what we can't buy. That would be really awful. We focus on what we're buying instead. We are buying things that we care about, and then more freedom, more flexibility, more options, and hopefully a lot more Tuesday hacks with a dog. A simple checklist on where you can start, know where you spend each month, each year. Calculate your FI number. So FI, financial independence, take your annual spending times 25, and that's your rough independence number. Example, once again, $50,000 a year. Let's say 1.25 million is your target. That gives you direction, not perfection. Okay, great. Now you have that number. Now, next step, make more money or spend less. And again, I know it sounds stupidly simple, but if you spend less, you have a smaller FI number. But I also don't believe in living a lesser life. I still want you to live an amazing, intentional life today because you never know how long you have. Then on the upside, maybe if you do make more and you continue to increase our wages as we grow our careers, whatever that might look like, that number really helps us as long as you don't get wild and you start making more and spending more. Then build a bucketing system that works for you over time. Obviously, we talked about those retirement accounts like Roth and 401k, and then we're also going to need some cash reserves for just the stability and also buying opportunities that might come your way. But then you need some type of money in that third bucket that is growing, but then you can access it if you do retire early, like an after-tax brokerage, or maybe you invest in real estate like we do, so you have some rental income, or you buy a business and have money coming in from that. This will be a big part of the money you live off of before you hit 59 and a half and can access your retirement accounts. That is if you want to retire before that age, of course. Remember, after all, why are you doing this? Not because money is the goal. Money is not the goal. Freedom is the goal. Options are the goal. Time is the goal. Being able to spend a random Tuesday with someone you love is absolutely the goal, and that is how we should be living. The reason I'm sharing this is because I wish someone had told me about it earlier. I spent years thinking there's only one path. You work, you spend, you repeat. And then I discovered that there are other ways to live. You don't have to become obsessed with the FIRE movement. You don't have to even retire early. You don't have to follow every single rule that you read in any of these many, many books and podcasts and notes that are out there. but understanding financial independence gives you choices, and choices are incredibly powerful. So if you're hearing about this for the very first time, I hope this opens just a small window. And if you're already on the journey, let me know where you're at, because I'm still figuring it out too. I'm not perfect. My husband and I are not perfect. We are not there yet. We have not hit the absolute goal, but we are a lot closer than where we were 10 years ago. And that is enough reason to keep going. Real money questions, honest answers, no pretending like I've always had it together.